very warm welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on SABC3. Re Tisale Douglas Kruger, who is a business author and speaker. And we're talking about what your mindset can contribute towards your financial prosperity. And Douglas, you were saying earlier on that these are principles that you teach, that you talk about in this book, that are applicable to everyone across the board, right? But what I'm thinking right now is if I'm, let's say, an 18-year-old dude at home, I've just finished school last year, I don't know what to do, I'm not going to varsity or anything. This is me right now. I want to get to where you're thinking. How do I bridge that gap? What are the first things I need to start doing to think myself wealthy, if that's
Great
the way
stuff. Well, the two pillars that your life is built on from that point onward are fairly obvious, but there are specific things we need to know about it. It is the education and it's entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship is a big one. Every survey that's ever done about how to lift people out of poverty includes a strong focus on owning your business, starting small businesses, small companies, things like that. Now, the stats show that in South Africa, uniquely for sub-Saharan Africa, we don't believe in it. Over 65% of our youth think that entrepreneurship is too hard and not worth it. So that's a bit of a bad start.
It is hard.
It is hard. There's no doubt about it. We need to shift our thinking. Now, here's one way to shift our thinking. When we think of owning a business, which really is the way to become more wealthy and to lift yourself up, we think of a massive corporate company or a mining conglomerate. It's too big, it's too technical, and it becomes undoable. But now, when you think about some of the people who have owned their own businesses and become incredibly wealthy over time, some examples are very simple. Charles Schulz, the guy who drew the comic strip Peanuts, is the third highest posthumous earner after Elvis and Michael Jackson.
Wow.
He worked for an hour every day drawing a 3-panel comic strip. And it's the value of the thing that he did, not how hard he worked. So I think of him as the ultimate escape from that ratio of hours worked to coins earned. But when we think of owning a business, as a speaker, I own a business. I don't have to lead other people. I don't have a building. I don't have a factory. It's just the thing that I do with a skill. And Charles Schulz has a simple skill, or had a simple skill, that made him a multi-billionaire over time. So owning a business doesn't have to be vast and intimidating. It can be incredibly profitable while still being very simple.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about education. We live in a country where a lot of people cannot afford tertiary education. How do you bridge that gap? Because it is a certain advantage from the haves and the have-nots.
When you study how talent works, mentoring is a very big part of that. And mentoring can happen for free. Now, from the perspective of a person trying to escape from poverty, I would give some very simple advice, and it's very powerful. You do have to have a mentor and approach people who are where you want to be, but there's a right and a wrong way of doing it. The wrong way to do it is to call a person out of the blue and say, will you be my mentor? It's like walking up to a stranger on the street and saying, will you marry me? It's too much too soon. The right way of going about it is just to politely ask a person, say, this is where I am, I admire where you are, what's my next step? And you build a natural relationship rather than giving them this entire sense of obligation in one go. Just ask one question and then show them that you've done the thing they suggested. And then they will give you the next one.
All right. Well, like you said, for the young who are looking to uplift themselves, for families, for parents who are looking to educate their children, and for those business leaders out there, that book is applicable. I got to get me a copy of that. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us this morning.
Most welcome. Thank you.
Douglas Kruger, and the book is called Is Your Thinking Keeping You Poor? Something certainly to think about. But right now, here's the headlines of the morning.